Okay, so talking about narcissists, it's September 5th, 2020, 9:07 a.m. But I was just tuning into Trump and how he works with the energies. And as as a narcissist, what they do is they initially, they give you that attention they give you that attention that you're seeking, that you're desiring, right? Initially. And you are enlivened by that, right? Oh, somebody's giving me this attention, but then this person also is like, but you're special, right? You're special and you're getting this attention. It's just a different angle of the narcissist. And so the integration of the understanding of the narcissist, right, and how they operate and how it operates within the empathic system as well, right, within the body, really, because what happens is, that's like a dopamine release. You get that instant dopamine release, but then what happens is when they discard you, right, or they give somebody else the same praise or the attention or whatever it may be, they initiate this really this feeling within that, but within the body, the other person's body, who's on the receiving end of this, right? Who's on the other end of this experience, or who's entangled within this experience, let's say. And what happens is the person gets hooked, right? They get hooked on the narcissist. And it creates this chemical response in the body where the other person needs this other person in order to, you could say, function on some level, because it's become, right, in the body. And that's why you have this experience when individuals are within these narcissist toxic relationships, is that they become dependent. It's like a drug, right? It's this dopamine release. But if you're able to essentially the cure is really connecting into your oxytocin and your ability to excrete your oxytocin. But in order to do that, you have to be able to bond, right? This is part of the mammalian this is also connected into the limbic system as well. So that ability to bond, right? And see, narcissists don't bond, but as an individual, you're craving this bond. And you're essentially bonded into this toxic relationship, right? And you have to pull away from that. But it's no different than like quitting a drug, right? Takes time to kind of work it out of your system, right? To get it out of your system. The oxytocin bond, though, is what that's essentially like an imprint. There's nothing you can do to remove that bond, right? Or if there is trauma in that space, that has to be healed as well in order to allow that bond to reform, or that bond to reset, you could say. Because there can be trauma in this space. And there can be fear in this bonding, right? In this energy. It's love. There can be fear of this love. There can be fear of this love, this feeling of harmony, and people can run away from it because it's potent and it's strong, or they think there's something wrong with it. It's just like at birth, right? If a woman is not prepared, and when for labor, let's say, or certain things, because that's all oxytocin. Birth is oxytocin, and it's many other hormones as well, and how they interplay, right, and how they interact, and you want to get them all harmonized, and all working as one, you could say, in order to get this baby out, right? In order to birth this baby into being, outside of the body, right? Outside of the body. And so this, it's like this interplay, right? It's this dance. It's this magic that happens. It's this cocktail that happens, this elixir. And so sorry, I just got distracted. So oh yeah, I was waiting for that. 555 here. So this cocktail, right? This elixir. But if you're not able, to really work with that, if you're not prepared, if you don't know what to expect, different things like that, that's why birth can be very challenging for women. They don't understand it, on a deeper level, right? They're not prepared on a deeper level, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Many women don't. They just go to the hospital essentially and expect everybody else to do the work. But birth's not like that. Birth is, it's you birthing life. It's you bringing life into this world, and that's not meant to be you could say, an easy process. It's meant to be and it's meant to give you that which you need in order to essentially become a better parent, right? It's all designed. And so when we do not have birth the way it's meant to be, and we don't in this country, many hospital births are not ideal births. They aren't. And we have yet to really accept that things need to change. But without getting into that, the process of birth itself, the natural process, as it is undisturbed within nature, right, within our own natural instincts, within our own primal self, right, without anything outside of ourselves, right? It's a very well designed process, and it's located within, right, our DNA. It's located within our bodies, and our bodies, they know what to do, right? And it's all designed beautifully, just as conception is as well. And when we mess with nature, there's going to be consequences. And so it's that return to nature, that return to our sacred nature, really, that begins to shift things. So our ability to create that sacred space, really. But back to these chemicals. So, the oxytocin, in this, I remember after I had my son and I was breastfeeding, and I loved breastfeeding, and immediately I had a very good experience. I wasn't able to produce much milk. I had a breast reduction when I was younger, so that was part of it, and I also had a very traumatic birth experience. But breastfeeding itself was probably saved me from hell. But when my son, I remember it was probably one of the first, few cycles of bonding, and the energies were high, right? The energies were high. I had given birth via cesarean because I was not supported in the way I needed to be, and I did not receive the support I needed in order to have that natural birth experience that I desired. And my body suffered for it. Right? My body suffered. My body held on. My body didn't want to release. My body was afraid. My body was in trauma. My body was traumatized. And you can't birth a baby when you're with the energies are not flowing, and so when you're not being supported, and when you're not being heard, and you're not being seen, and you're not being understood, and you're being ignored, and all those other things, right, creates a, trauma in the body during an experience like birth, right, which is also birth is a very sexual experience. It is the completion of a sexual act. It is meant to be so much more than the way it is perceived within society. And birth itself is, you go into an altered state of consciousness. And so when I had, come down from that trauma, I was able to breastfeed successfully, although, not optimally. But I received this experience with my son when we were breastfeeding, and I remember I was so exhausted. I hadn't slept in days, and, the usual. And he had, I remember I was like in this lucid state, and I felt us become one. I felt us being one. And it was the most beautiful experience I have ever had. And that's bonding. And I felt it on all levels. I mean, I felt it within my energy field. I felt it within my body. I felt as if I was him and he was me. And there was no separation, and we were one. Right? And we were one. And it was the most beautiful experience. And I've shared this with, in the birthing room. I'm a doula, and I've been been with many individuals who are giving birth, and I've witnessed life coming into this world, and I've witnessed many different experiences that women have, and how they can resist birth, and how they hold on, and how they're unable to let go and surrender into that process, and you can't really do that. It's not, you can, but that's where we are in resistance, right? That's where we are in resistance to what is happening, right? And I've talked with women who deny themselves being in labor, and all of a sudden they're like, whoa, it hits them, and baby's coming, 10 minutes later. I've had these experiences. I've spoken with mothers who have had these experiences, so I understand the process very deeply, on a very deep level of understanding, I feel. And this, but this bonding mechanism, you could say, there are, this can also be resisted. This can be resisted. And that causes the pain of separation. Because the other doesn't want to step into that space. The other's not ready to step into that space. The other is unable to step in that space because of their own wounds. And I experienced this firsthand with my son's father, with my ex-husband. and him being unable to meet me where I needed him to be when I was in my most vulnerable state. He was unable to meet me there, even though I signed up for 12 weeks of intense birth classes that were specific to partner, right? The partner, and involving the partner. And I thought I could just drag the horse to the water and get him to drink it, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And I suffered for it. And I suffered for it. And now I look at birth and I'm like, how I could do it on my own. Because it is a very, very deeply feminine process. And in order to have, an optimal birth, you need all things. I relied on my ex-husband too much, you could say. I expected him to be there, even though I knew somewhere within that he was not able to meet me there. And I knew that, and I know I knew that now. I was in denial of that. Right? I was in denial. I thought I could make it happen. I thought I could do this or I could do that in order to make it happen, but I couldn't. No matter what I did and no matter how hard I tried, I could not get him to be present for the birth of his son, fully present. I could not get him to support me in the way I needed him to be there. I couldn't force him to do that. That was on him. That was on him. Not me. Not our son. And he couldn't. And he couldn't show up the way we needed him to. And so, coming to that realization, coming to that recognition through a very deep process of understanding, things, right, as they are, not as we want them to be. Right? This is a process. This is not something you can just, step into, even though you can at the same time. Because you're stepping into that process, you're stepping into that recognition, you're stepping into that realization, you're stepping into that new space in order to see things clearly, just as they are. And being in acceptance, and being in surrender, and being in all those things of reality. Now I've battled, for the last 6 years since I left my marriage behind. I've had to have my own process, my own go through my own shit, right? In order to truly be able to receive that which I desire on a deeper level. That kind of relationship, that kind of partnership, that connection, right? That I truly, truly want to experience for myself. And that has been a very deep process indeed. A very deep process. And I also came into recognition of just how deeply ingrained things are in the body. things are within society. Things are within the whole, right? When you uncover one layer, there's another layer to uncover, and another, and another, and another, right? Down to the very smallest parts, and the very largest parts as well at the same time. So the deeper you go within, the deeper you are able to experience reality just as it is and be within that vibrational harmony of that understanding of all that is and all that will be and all that is happening and all that is progressing and all that is moving forward. No longer attached to the old and how things were. Okay. Sorry, I got stopped there. And I don't know where I was. Talking about birth, talking about chemicals. Yeah, really the ability for these energies to flow freely through the body. If you're holding on to things, right? Like my ex-husband was, for instance. He's holding on to the past. He was holding on to his wounding. He was holding on to all of his inner childhood wounds, right? And they had him enslaved. They had him locked within those. Right? He wasn't able to break free of them. He wasn't able to transition or transform himself, right? And so, eventually I came into that recognition and that realization, and I chose something new for my son and myself. And when I made that choice, everything shifted. Right? Everything shifted to the point where I don't want to say I didn't know who I was anymore, but I had to really reclaim who I was. To really reclaim who I was on a deeper level, right? In my wholeness. And I made the choice and I set the intention that I was going to do that. And I had no idea how challenging that, or how deep that choice went. I had no idea that it would be the process that it was, and yet it was, right? And it was going to happen. And there was, once I made that choice and I shifted into that space, everything was brought to me in order to do that, you could say. And it was hell at times, but it was perfect in its design. It allowed me to truly understand where things are at, where we are at, and how to heal oneself. How we may all heal ourselves, right? Individually and collectively. Galactically. Through the all that is. It's this recreation of vibrational harmony. Being within vibrational harmony, you could say. being within the primordial state, being within the ability to see things all happening at once, just as they are, being in a space of being within that, right? Not with your head in the sand, not with you held out, not actively engaging and shifting and transforming things at their fundamental root levels, but at the same time also being within this state of peace and of wholeness and of completion and of knowing that it is done. It is done, and it has been done, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be done. The work still has to be completed. Right? The whole thing still has to be completed. Even though it's already happening, it is also from within this space of this happening that you emerge into your wholeness, into your fullness, right? This blossoming, this blooming. This birth, right? This birth, this process of birthing something, birthing yourself into being. Your new self, your whole self. I don't like the word new because you're not creating really a new self. You're just revealing all that you already are. So there's not this, what I often see is this distortion, right, play out where people want to be something that they're not. It's about accepting who you truly are, right, it's the acceptance of who you truly are and what purpose you are here to serve. And then stepping into alignment with that purpose. And then stepping into alignment with that purpose. It is in that surrendering. It is in that allowing oneself to receive, allowing it to be revealed, allowing the resistance to shed. Accepting. Allowing what is to be, what is. Being within that state of wholeness, being within that state of completion. It's knowing that you already have everything located within you that you are meant to experience, right? This wholeness, you already hold it within, and it's a matter of, okay, well, how do I, create this within a space, from a space, through a space of this vibrational harmony with the all that is, right? How do I be within this space of, you could say, oneness, right, within the self, and then also within the understanding that you are connected to all things, all people, all places, all spaces. You are connected to all of this. So how does one be? Shed whatever it is that you're holding on to, and to be at peace within this space. To be within this state of perfection within. this knowing of this purpose that you are here to serve, staying in alignment with that, not, first coming into acceptance of that, staying in alignment with that, holding that within, and then serving that purpose. It's already located within you. It's just about finding those vibrational matches, right? So the more you're able to raise your vibration and to release out of anything, any attachments, anything that you're holding on to, etc., etc., everything will just begin to harmonize with you. Harmonize with all your parts. Everything that is, you're ready to shift out of, spaces you need to be, right? Your space of being. Opening up to receive. And allowing oneself to navigate through that experience. To navigate it. From that higher vibrational state of being within oneself. Right? Fully, wholly, and completely. Not in resistance. It's almost like being within a state of ceremony. But as a state of being. Allowing oneself to flow freely. Allowing all to just be. Just as it is. Not needing to change anything. Not needing to make anything be something that it's not. Not needing to force anything. Push anything. Push for anything. Not needing it to be this way or that way. Allowing all to just be just as it is, just as it's meant to be. Honoring that state of being within oneself. Anything that is not in vibrational harmony with that, you can just intend to release it. If it's not a match, it's not a match. Right? If that's not something you want to allow in, that's not something you want to allow in. It's here now. I'm not saying that this is this potential is here now to be within this state of vibrational harmony with the all that is. All is well. All has always been well, but all is well. To really accept that, to allow that in, to allow that to be. All is in divine harmony. There's nothing to fear. It's just allowing oneself to have the process, allowing oneself to be free of constraints, or thinking they need, thinking they need to do something this way or that way in order to get something that they need. Just allowing all to be released now. Allowing oneself to feel held, to feel nurtured, to feel embraced, to feel loved, to feel honored, to feel seen, to feel heard. To feel recognized. That's where we want to be. That's where we are. Right? That's where we are. That's where we are. We as a we. Right? We as a we. And so we invite you in to this space. We welcome you into this space. But none of that stuff can come into this space, because then it would, it's like you have a symphony and you have one instrument that's out of tune. Right? That instrument's got to tune itself up in order to be within that space of harmony, to be a part of that greater harmony. Right? And it's, somebody has to take that initial harmonic tone, that harmonic tune, and begin to create harmony with others, right? With all other things. Not saying that everyone's going to be fully in tune, right? But you are able to hold your harmony within all things. Like, no matter what is happening, your internal harmony is not being affected. You are vibrating within your own harmony. And even within that own harmony, you hold space for the understanding of the all that is and all things. But that doesn't change anything, right? It's just the understanding of that. And then to accept and allow and adapt and to create a new harmony. 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 To create a greater harmony. And as we create that greater harmony, we are able to exist from within. Nothing affecting us. And that is how we are able to birth in the new earth, which is already being birthed. To allow the sacred feminine to reclaim her space fully, wholly, and completely. To allowing all people to reclaim their space fully, wholly, and completely. For the truth to be revealed, for the truth to be honored, for the light to be seen, for the light to be witnessed, for the understanding to be received. The more you hold on to now, the more difficult it's going to be. The more lost you will become, the more fragmented you will become. And as we allow things to just be, we can allow for what is meant to be. To be. So it's just in that allowance, and that freedom, and that non-attachment. To how, to when, to where, to why, or anything, really. Just knowing. Allowing. Allowing in that harmony. And letting go of anything that is not in harmony with that harmony. You let go of that. That disharmony. That disharmony. And so it is.